worry. He can be one of those things.
The Thing was directed by John Carpenter and is a remake of the 1951 film The Thing from Another World, which was also based off the short story Who Goes There? And it stars Kurt Russell and follows a group of American researchers in Antarctica who encounter an alien life form who can assimilate and imitate other living organisms. As paranoia and distrust take hold, they must determine who among them is human and alien. So, Stephen, we're reviewing The Thing, 1982.
I I don't know what to say, man. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time because, as you know, as most people know, this is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Yeah, it was definitely one that I was introduced very late. Like I remember back in 2011 where I saw the trailer to the prequel to this film, and
Oh
I
my
I
god!
asked my dad, I was like, "What's that about?" And he was like, "I don't know, but I remember the original one back in 1982 starring Kurt Russell, and for whatever reason, I didn't check it out to like years later to like my earlier years of high school, and wow, like this movie is just it's crazy. Like this was Carpenter's first big studio movie for Universal Studios, and it bombed at the box office.
Oh, it did. Yeah, people didn't care for much.
It had a bunch of negative reviews from the critics at the time, unfortunately.
I would call this the barf bag movie of July. And the movie just basically is an excuse for this very gruesome and repellent creature to gross us out. It is the most nauseating thing I've ever seen on a movie screen, I think.
That's quite a statement.
Even the director from the 1951 film even he didn't like it. And so after gaining massive recognition from Halloween, which speaking of Halloween in that movie, the children in one scene are watching The Thing from Another World, which was a pretty fun fact. Yeah. And
It's
but-
kind of like with what is it, Living Dead, where it's pretty much in every horror movie in the background.
oh yeah.
That is public domain.
Yeah, but years later, The Thing, 1982, gained a following amongst horror fans. It became a classic over time.
Oh yeah, dude.
And I'm not just saying that because of the insane practical effects, and we'll talk about that in a little
Dude.
bit. But I think a lot of it has to do with the way the film is directed and edited, and its exploration of themes such as paranoia and isolation, and the nature of self-identity itself.
Oh yeah, dude.
Throughout the entire film, everything is so riveting, involving the element of suspense and who is and who isn't the alien.
Oh yeah. It's pretty much a long hour or two game of who's who.
Yeah,
It's pretty much where's Waldo, but the stakes are higher, obviously. State.
even when watching the film, like you don't know who the thing is until it reveals itself.
Oh yeah.
And for a side note, the actors have stated in various interviews that not even they knew who the thing was until that's of course like while filming conversation scenes, of course.
Oh yeah.
And that so that it kept the skepticism more legit and a natural reaction from the actors. And another thing I thought added a lot of weight to the tension and suspense was the location itself.
Oh yeah, desolated area
It was-
by yourself in the Antarctic.
Yeah, it's very
Cold.
very confined and claustrophobic, and I heard that they actually chilled the location to 40 degrees to match
Really.
Antarctica.
Really?
Yeah, so in a way, the characters were actually suffering from the actor standpoint too. So Kurt Russell is a badass in this movie.
He's a badass in every movie.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been better.
This is peak Kurt Russell. This
Yeah.
and like Miracle, something like that.
Oh yeah.
This is like, it's fantastic, man.
A lot of the actors have stated that they were sick to their stomachs seeing all these animatronics and practical effects.
Yeah.
And I think that adds a lot of weight to the performances as well, because you can't get that from a green screen or a tennis ball nowadays.
Like in the more modern remake,
yeah.
where most of it was CGI and it looked terrible.
Yeah, I can't imagine dude just walking on set, seeing all these these practical prosthetics that look so human.
They look great too.
Yeah, they still.
Imagine seeing it in person. Like it looks fantastic on screen, but man, in person would be a whole nother story. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And so let's talk about
That opening scene.
the
with
opening
dog.
scene with the opening. Yeah, you don't know what's going on, and it's being chased by the Russians, right?
It was another. What was it? I forgot who they were. I think it was Swedish.
Swedish. Yeah.
Something with an S. But I know they were another what is it, science group.
Those are also the ones where they go back and find their
The
base.
remake. And the remake's based on them too.
Oh yeah, it is right.
Yeah.
Doesn't it end with?
It ends with them chasing the dog into the not original, but our version of the original. What we would see as the original.
Yeah, I love how they don't think anything of the dog
No.
until the dog transformation scene.
Yeah.
Of course, they put the dog in the cage, and like the dog transformation scene was like insane. Like with the way that its head peeled back and like sprouting Harry's
all the tentacles and shit start coming out.
yeah.
The mouth detaches and
spider legs
man,
come out of it.
yes.
And then it's like spitting that like goo stuff at that dog. The dog was trying to get the fuck out of there. Dude was ripping that fence off. I was like, man, I almost felt bad for the dog because I think the dogs were like really going through it. Like they were just throwing stuff at them and stuff like that. But speaking of the dog itself, great performance from the dog.
oh heck yeah, especially in the beginning when he's running.
Yeah.
Helicopter chase, everything. They're shooting at the dog. The explosion's going next to it, and it's still moving, man. That's an actor. That's a real actor.
And then it eventually turns into this like big practical animatronic
This
like
huge
monster.
mess of
And that thing sprouts from it and like
Fantastic.
turns and
Oh my
opens
goodness.
up. Dude, like stuff like that makes me like question like how did they pull that off? It's so beautifully done.
or Norwegian.
Huh?
Norwegian. Norway. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
I had my notes right here, and it was the Norwegian camp Discovery. The entrance to the Norwegian camp introduced this sense of mystery and confusion.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, that's when they first go in and they're looking around. They find where the thing, where they dug it out of the ground. It was in the big ice.
And the ice cube.
It was. Oh man, this whole movie's just one big trip, and I love it.
I even love the way the characters are set up. Seeing the thing for the first time, seeing the camera pull out as they're coming down the hallway, and McGrady with the loaded shotgun with the rest of the guys behind him. But also speaking about the practical effects, they were created by Rob Bottin. What's his name?
Bottin?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
I think that's what it was.
And the practical effects were absolutely groundbreaking at the time. They involved a bunch of animatronics and puppetry, and even some visuals for the exteriors of the buildings, like the landscapes of like Antarctica. Supposedly, some of those were paintings.
Yeah, I heard that some were paintings and miniatures.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
miniatures also. Yeah, I heard about that too.
Like a lot of the wider shots, all that kind of stuff. Man, just utilizing all these different tactics to put this one little. Cause they're pretty much in like a small secluded building.
Yeah.
Most of the film. Then they're outside a little bit here and there, and there's like a little cabin with.
But there really isn't
Oh,
much
yeah.
outside
Yeah, there's
because of
not.
how cold it is. Like you really can't
You
go
can't
outside.
do much.
And
I think that's where they utilize the miniatures and paintings too, like a extreme degree. Is you can't do much when you're working with people, but when you're working on like a smaller stage, which I'm pretty sure they did most of the miniatures and stuff,
oh,
it works. It works really well.
yeah, these characters end up losing it.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
character Larry. Oh my god.
dude.
Like he loses his mind, bro. And then it was funny seeing him in that shed saying how okay he is and that he's ready to get out. But there's like a noose like right next to him.
That's what I was thinking too when I was talking about that little building, the little buildings that they have them in.
Yeah.
You can just picture the movie. You can talk about it, and every scene you can just picture it. You can talk about the stomach when his stomach opens when he's
Oh
doing
yeah,
the
the character
defibrillators.
man. And I love the trick it has before that sequence where it's like he's having chest pains
Yeah.
and he might die from a heart attack. and then everybody thinks McGrady is the
Yeah.
potential, the Thing, and then he ends up not, and then that's when they give him that
The defibrillators.
defibrillators. Then, dude, it was just so caught by surprise.
It
And
caught
then-
me, but I've seen it like a million times before. And rewatching it for the review, I was like, when is it coming? I remember that scene. When is it coming? When it came, man, my heart dropped. I could not believe it, man.
Dude, and then what the hell comes out of him? It's like deformed and little, and his mouth like bro, like
His head detaches,
his
everything.
little monkey legs, and then his head detaches from his body, and it grows fucking spiders.
spider legs. Climbs up to the ceiling.
That was my favorite
Oh,
animatronic practical
Dude,
effect in the
that
film.
was so cool.
And like it sprouts its eyes out, and like it starts crawling
Just
away.
coming out of his ears, he turns upside down. He's just standing there with a flamethrower, doesn't know what to do. Starts burning it. Oh man.
What was
Dude,
that one character say?
awesome.
You got Windows. He was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And then little spider.
When he goes running out of the room.
Oh, yeah. Oh shoot!
Oh man, but yeah, dude, getting to that kind of stuff. There's the scene where they're testing the blood.
That's
Where they have everybody lined up inside. 'Cause
such an
you
iconic scene.
don't know, and it's building up slowly and slowly. He heats up the hanger. What was it, the hanger? Is a little thing of blood, touches it, and even the person, they know that they're not the Thing. They're still like scared because they're trying to keep appearances.
That's another thing that's so scary about that scene. It's the paranoia because
it keeps you on
everyone,
edge. It really does.
like even the characters themselves, are so nervous because not even they know if they're really themselves.
Man, dude, it's something else. That whole scene alone is like,
And I always thought that scene worked so well and it's so realistic and heavy without music.
it puts like a feeling of like unsure fear into you. Like, is this character which is my favorite character, is he the Thing? Is he what they're looking for? They're going back and forth, and then when they finally figure out who it is, he's sitting
Yeah.
on the table or on the chair and starts convulsing. They have him all tied up.
I love how he right. I love how he calls him out too. He calls out Gary that he could have been the one who had access to the blood, and us as the audience believe that we have rising tensions towards Gary, and for his turn.
Yeah.
And then moments later, that's when the other guy has his turn. It was such a great fake out as a scare.
And it leads you perfectly into it. Like it really makes you think. Like it's so well executed that.
It was an intelligent jump scare, right?
Yeah.
And and a fun fact, like, so Palmer's the Thing in that scene,
Yeah.
and he goes up hitting the ceiling. But if you pay attention closely, one of the pieces of the ceiling doesn't fall down. It goes up, actually, revealing that the scene was actually shot upside down.
Really.
Yeah.
I
If
didn't
you look
know
closely,
that.
there's a piece of the ceiling that goes up.
Dang. You should put a clip in that in there
Yeah.
because I gotta see it.
And
But yeah, I think that's one of the more infamous scenes of the movie, along with the dog transformation.
oh, dude, yeah, the blood
And-
test scene is just so
yeah.
iconic.
It's great. It's really great.
I also think the movie features probably one of like the best endings in any horror film.
Oh yeah, the ending to this movie is very inconclusive.
Yeah.
It leaves you wanting more.
And also, I love how there's no cliches. Like, there's no
there's
the main
not.
hero getting rescued and all that crap. It basically leaves you how the movie starts, paranoid.
If anything, it leaves you feeling that the main hero's in even more distress. Because there's nobody's coming for him. Think about what would have happened. Like let's set this. The movie ends after the camera stops rolling. It's just him and the other guy. I don't remember his name.
Childs.
Yeah.
Childs is his character's
They're
name.
there. Anyone can be the Thing, and that leaves you. You really think he'll be able to defeat the alien by himself?
And here's the thing about that. I believe the movie ended with Childs, in fact, being the Thing. And
He was gone for a pretty good while, right?
yeah, like even after all the chaos in that final
Yeah.
encounter Mac had with the Thing, he comes with his flamethrower after just approaching him, asking him questions like, "Are you the only one who made it? And did you kill it?" Childs, aka the Thing, is right. And this next line is pretty chilling if you look at it from this perspective. Childs goes, "Fire's got the temperature up all over camp. Won't last long enough." Basically telling Mac that he's going to die and wants to know like how they can both move on from the situation, trying to see how they can sort of work together in a sort of truce so both of them can survive. The Thing it focuses on survival.
Prioritizes it.
Yeah, and probably assumes that any other living being would as well.
Yeah.
And so he's basically inviting Mac to survive with it in a way, and that's till we reach the best dialogue spoke in the film as a whole.
How will we make it?
Maybe we should.
Stating his willingness to die to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's very, very good. And Mac then shares what seems like a toast to the Thing, Childs, for a game of well played, because he wasn't trying to give him some type of test or secretly hiding some explosive. He was acknowledging like basically a good game, and the audience is left to wonder what happens next. But this is just my opinion. And then he hands Childs a bottle of whiskey, and notice how Childs he smiles and then takes a sip of the whiskey bottle, and that's when the theme plays, and that's how the movie ends. So that's how I see it.
I see it as he's willing to die, and the Thing isn't. Its main purpose is to keep moving, keep going, find new life forms, how it imitates everything. That's his main goal throughout the movie. And so thinking about that, obviously its main goal would continue on, especially after the movie, while Mac, or what's his name? McGrady, he's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. The greater good.
Because even earlier on in the film, that one character is researching, and it says that this thing could populate the entire world.
Yeah.
And humanity as we know it will end. And I think that's why the ending is so effective, because everything's left in the audience's imagination.
And going back to that blood scene, you can see as they're testing the blood and how the alien blood reacts to the heat, how it reacts trying to keep itself from harm to stay alive. You would think that's how it would be at the end too, where the Thing is trying its hardest. You know, it really wants to live. It really wants to thrive. After being frozen for however long it was, you would think it's not going to want to lose right now. It's want to keep going. It's a predator. The alien in the movie is a predator. It'll do anything to survive, and it shows throughout the movie while it's going on. From the blood scene to the ending to when they're in the cave system, and it's chasing after them. The explosions are going off. It's running from the explosions while it's going after its prey.
When that scene with the explosives in that tunnel, there's a sequence where the tentacles come up from the ground.
Yeah.
And like it's like grabbing the bomb. Was that claymation?
It was claymation.
It was claymation?
It was.
That's insane. Because I saw the way it was moving, and I was like, I think that's claymation. And
I remember reading something on it too, on how they did it, but I don't think I have it in my notes here.
It was also gnarly how that dude Gary got that one dude caught him and his fingers were just like going through his face.
Dude.
And that's like, I was imagining like the thing coming out of his hand just going into his mouth like that. But like his hands was also like merging into his face. I thought that was a pretty cool like prosthetic effect.
Who did the prosthetics? I know we mentioned it earlier. I just want to give them more praise, because the prosthetics in this makeup, or in the movie, and the makeup in the movie are just phenomenal.
I believe the Rob Bottin.
Rob Bottin.
I wonder what other projects he's worked on.
I have here the film special effects created by Rob Bottin was groundbreaking for the time. Bottin used a combination of practical effects, prosthetics, and puppetry, which from the tentacles was claymation and puppetry. That's what I remember now. I don't think he used. I think he used little to no CGI, or at least what they had at the time. Because I know CGI wasn't too to use.
I don't think it was really up to par
Yeah.
to where it needed to be at the time.
I think it peaked around like 90, was it 7 when Jurassic Park came out?
93.
93.
But
I'm gonna go with you because you had the date right from the last video.
But I know for sure it was 93. But even in that film, they used at that time, in that time period when they used CGI when they needed to,
Yeah.
not just for everything, because they still built a lot of animatronics. And in this film, there's a lot of good animatronics.
Oh my god! Any time before the 2000s, animatronics were at its peak.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it was perfect. Animatronics in The Thing or animatronics in Jurassic Park? What do you got?
Jurassic Park had a lot of big ass animatronics.
Really, the giant T-Rex and everything.
And but in The Thing, they also did a lot of puppetry. So they had a lot of people just like moving like the arms and stuff like that, like a whole team. So I don't know, man. It's pretty close because The Thing is so impressive.
Especially with the combination of everybody working together to make this one big giant like monster move like at once. Like it's so fluid and it's so natural.
And The Thing came out like 11 years before Jurassic Park.
It really did.
It came out during Return of the Jedi. Dude.
Oh, it did?
The 70s had just finished.
Dang.
A time where they barely had any animatronics. So technically, yeah, they're right. These animatronics and practical effects in 1982 were groundbreaking. Because I don't think anything before this was as good and impressive as these.
And Rob Bottin really freaking killed it.
Oh yeah, he did.
Dude, he peaked in like.
I don't see anything else being his
I
better
really
project.
don't either.
Yeah, like
No.
I mean, if this is considered one of, if not the greatest horror film of all time.
And the process of animatronics and puppetry and everything really elevated to a whole nother level.
Because everything just looks so real.
Oh heck yeah.
You could tell it was literally an artist at work, and he cared about his craft, and it showed in the film.
Man, it was just, and I know I don't know if you know, but they edited the movie, like, took most of the gruesome scenes out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the scene was cut from, who was it, when his stomach opened up to when his head turned, all that. Most of it was cut for international release.
Oh, it was, right?
Yeah, it was for release in China and all those other countries. They cut a lot of that due to the graphic nature of it.
Maybe that was another reason why the film failed at first.
Yeah, it did. It did, right? It had a lot of mixed reviews when it first came out. Yeah, it was. It wasn't a commercial success.
Critics were slamming it. They were just saying it was just gross.
It says, I have here. I was watching a interview. It said the interviewer said, such as the head spider scene, have become wildly referenced and parodied in popular culture, especially after the movie, because a lot of the scenes in The Thing have already been redone or reused.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and especially in modern culture, modern movies. A lot of that cartoons like I know The Simpsons. I remember watching an episode of The Simpsons. Episodes of like cartoons like Family Guy, South Park, all that kind of stuff.
The baby from Toy Story.
Yeah, the baby from Toy Story. Yeah, the little head with the spider legs. But yeah, this movie's I wouldn't say parodied. I really wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, it's kind of like with it's kind of like how Quentin Tarantino would reference other movies. I think this movie's referenced a lot.
Oh, like
And that just shows
kind of
how,
like borrowing from
yeah,
other
it
genres.
just shows how timeless this movie is.
Oh yeah, because even when I was watching it, I was like, this movie aged so well.
Dude, it ages. From the cinematography, looks good.
It does.
It doesn't look reused or old. The movie doesn't look old.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. The scenery,
The lighting.
everything, the lighting.
The
too.
lighting's great.
The blue tint the movie has throughout it with the snow.
I even love those throwback type of like fade to black shots where the shot pauses and then it fades to black, kind of like an old
And
vintage.
it leaves you in that scene and transfers you somewhere
It
else.
does. It leaves you thinking.
Yeah. Like, is he gonna come back to this, or is it gonna continue off of what just happened? But no, it rolls and it rolls perfectly. I think the movie has like a really good, like for the runtime that it has. I don't think it skips a beat.
Yeah, the pacing keeps you
The
guessing.
pacing is really
every
good.
scene, every scene.
And the direction really helps with that pacing.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
John Carpenter did like a really fantastic job.
He did.
This and the original Halloween are my two favorite John Carpenter movies.
That's crazy because Halloween wasn't a major studio film.
No, it wasn't. It was
This was
really low budget,
Yeah.
and it shows too. He can work with a huge budget. He can work with a little budget, no matter what he does, from themes to camera work.
Yeah,
Like
he
in
really.
Halloween with the camera in the car's coming around the corner. Every little thing keeps you guessing in the background. This movie does that too.
Yeah, him and his editor really like.
Dude, they
were like a
killed it.
unit.
They
They were.
freaking killed it, dude. John Carpenter, he really knows how to utilize a background. He really does how to keep you guessing what's coming next. He does it really well, and that's horror. That's like peak horror right there.
Peak horror. Yeah.
I don't know. He's probably one of my favorite, or probably the greatest horror
movie
directors.
director?
Yeah,
Definitely up there in top.
he's way up there.
He's way up there.
He's way up there. So was who did Chucky? Don Mancini
Don Mancini created Chucky,
created Chucky.
but he didn't direct any of those
He didn't?
films. Guess what? He didn't direct any of those Child's Play movies.
No, he didn't. Really?
Until Seed of Chucky. Seed of Chucky was the first Chucky movie he directed. I didn't believe it either.
I don't believe that.
And now it's the last time Chucky was in theaters.
Everything else has either been a DVD release or the new TV
It's
show.
kind of
Sci-Fi.
sad though because after that, Curse of Chucky was really good.
It really was
It
on
was.
DVD,
Yeah.
especially
And it was directed
DVD.
by Don Mancini.
He did a really good job.
Yeah, he did good on that one.
But I was under the impression he directed all of them.
No.
No.
Actually, the person who directed the original one was Tom Holland. Not Spider-Man.
No, I know. That's like with the directors who what is it? Harry Potter. What's his name? Chris Columbus. Christopher
Yeah.
Columbus. Tom Holland directed Chucky.
Wasn't even born yet.
Child's Play.
Spider-Man
Yeah,
directed Child's
Spider-Man.
Play.
I'd really like to review that movie someday.
All of them?
Not all of them, obviously not.
I would have to pass the seed.
So getting back to the thing,
Of course.
got pretty off topic there. That end of, we're talking about the ending scene, how it
Mhm.
leaves you guessing and everything. You said who do you think was?
I
the
think
thing?
Child's was in fact the
You
thing.
think he was?
Yeah.
Now that I think of it, he might have been.
Because, like, I mean, it's just, like, so far out of left field. He comes out of nowhere. Where did he go? He was with two
in
other
the woods,
dudes
something
in the
about
woods.
the woods or something like that. When the
That could have been the
wilderness-
thing coming up with the story, too. Like,
Probably. It doesn't sound like something a human being would say.
But I think that adds a lot to it. I think it actually makes the movie a lot scarier if he
It
is
keeps
the
you
thing.
guessing, dude. Oh my gosh, the acting in this movie is freaking fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Dude.
Like, Keith Davis was
freaking
great.
killed it, dude.
He was so
He
good.
freaking killed
I
it.
loved his reaction after seeing that big ass practical effect monster in the dog cage, and he's just like, and then
you know they went crazy filming this movie.
yeah.
They I think a few of them had to go through like therapy.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Including John Carpenter had to rethink a lot of things.
Dude, I imagine.
I have
bro,
my notes here, but my damn thing died. But I remember reading on it that most of the crew too, being so isolated, had to go through. I was checking if the thing was on. Had to go through like therapy and stuff. They had to get therapists because they were so isolated and they were by themselves for so long that
yeah, it's kind of like being like out there in the wild for
Yeah.
like a long time, and I think, yeah, like the performances were really good in the movie.
I think the isolation really helped with the performances.
Yeah.
It's great.
And the fact that they chilled it to 40 degrees too just adds like.
Yes.
I think it just brings out a lot out of the actors and their
Yes.
characters too. So like, yeah, dude, like it must have been insane being on that set.
It must have been hard. That must have been a really hard.
Especially to do take after take, especially when the actors are around all these prosthetics and animatronics.
So the people inside of them
yeah,
freaking burning up in there. Because I know there was a lot of people inside the larger animatronics, obviously,
yeah.
having to move all the cords and the all the limbs and everything that are in there. It gets tiresome. dude, this movie's just out of 5 stars. What do you got?
5 stars.
Dude, I'm gonna be pissed. Don't make me mad at your answer, dude.
I'd say about 2.
Two?
No,
Two?
it wasn't 2. You're about to knock everything off the table. I would say, dude, I
I'm going
think
5. I'm going 5.
I'm about to say, like, it might be my second 5 on the channel.
Like, this is a second, what is it, 5-star review for each of us consecutively, dude. I can't wait for the next one.
It's because we're reviewing movies we love, Steven.
Yeah,
Just wait until we start reviewing this fucking hot garbage that's coming out these days. Just wait until our reviews come out with the movie release is coming out now.
dude.
They're gonna be so all over the place. But I mean, right now we're having a lot of fun in the channel.
We're gonna have
I'm
fun
loving
the first,
it. Yeah,
the first 10 weeks.
yeah. It's gonna be a fun 10.
I love
10 weeks.
talking about the thing. I always just going through it, man. Just talking about it. Something else. The
So-
movie by itself, scene by itself, it can be a whole nother movie. Each scene that we've talked about can be a whole video on itself, just talking about it. And it's great.
5 stars
5 stars for a 5-star movie.
for a 5-star movie.
For a 5-star
One of the
movie.
greatest horror movies of all time.
This is like a perfectly cooked steak. Don't eat it.
Yeah.
Put it in a paper bag or in a plastic bag. Air seal it. Take it home. Put it in your fridge and leave it there forever. Don't ever touch it. It's a perfect
Don't ever
steak.
touch it.
And you know what? I hate to say it, but they did touch it.
Yeah.
They did touch it.
Let's say something. I think that movie would have been good if they just had practical effects. I mean, the movie's decent on
And
its own.
the new one, that newer one, I won't say new, but they did utilize practical effects.
Yeah, but they also
But they
covered
switched it out.
Yeah.
They changed it in post with CGI, and I don't know why they did it. I do not know why.
You would think that since that made the original one, 1982, so iconic for its practical effects,
You
you
carry on.
You have to use it. And I think the 2011 prequel was pretty decent, but it would have been, I think, not as good as the 1982 one, but I think it would have been good, or really good if there were practical effects.
And you know, dude, you're totally right. Obviously, the movie could have been better.
Yeah.
It's written. It's not bad.
It's not a bad,
It's not a
terrible
written
movie.
The ending's decent.
Yeah.
And they already have an ending for the movie that carries on to the original, not original, but our original 82 movie. The thing that slows it down is acting.
Mhm.
One thing, I did rewatch the movie after rewatching 82 thing. The acting's not great. It's not bad, but it's not great. The visuals are
You can tell
mediocre at best.
Mediocre, yeah.
Reused from the original thing, our original. The CGI slows it down.
I feel like that weighs it down. I think that's the main flaw. in
Like
movie.
the actors have the perception of the monster that's there because they use practical effects.
And that's another thing, like I mentioned earlier. With the practical effects actually being in front of you, you get different performances.
Well, you do because you're actually encountering it. It's
Whereas-
actually there.
Whereas, if you're looking at a freaking green screen or a tennis ball, where the actor is supposed to look at,
Little stick with its
yeah, sticks, you don't get that kind of reaction
You
from the
really
actors.
Imagine this. Imagine we're making a Star Wars movie. We have a little green ball at the Rogue One. Imagine a green ball at the end coming to the Rebels. You're not gonna. Dude,
No.
Darth Vader walking down that hallway is one of the scariest things I've ever
Oh,
seen in
yeah.
theaters. And that's the kind of reaction you want from something that's actually their practical thing. And that's what 82 thing does like perfectly. Is it puts you in the movie. It puts you in the situation.
It
with
puts
these
you in that
characters.
environment that the actors that are in this claustrophobic, confined space.
You
Where
feel,
they can't
You
leave.
feel the tension with the characters.
Yes, and they can't even contact anybody. The radios don't even pick up any signals in
They
there.
really and how they fight. They're constantly fighting with each other. None of them are. They're not heroic, as in they're not like a superhero style character.
If anything, they're the
These are-
opposite of
they're
that. They're
humans.
they're terrified.
They're fear. It's legit fear from these people that are filming this insane movie that under these crazy conditions, it's cold, it's claustrophobic. There's these little tiny cabins they're working in, these little tiny rooms, these big giant animatronics that are taking so much space, and they look terrifying. And that's like the perfect situation for a perfect horror movie, and it's great, man. I love it.
That's great.
Going off of that, I'm rating it 5 stars. I'm keeping my rating until the day I die.
Yeah, I love this movie a lot. I mean, but I'm also kind of glad I was introduced to it so late.
Aren't you glad you live in an era where all these great music, all these great movies have already come out? From The Thing to Star Wars to Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Dude, all these great media, all this media has already come out, and we're living it, man.
Out of the thousands of years of human life, we're alive during this time. It's kind of crazy.
We got to see it, dude.
Right,
We got to see it in person. Imagine that one guy who died like a couple of days before No Way Home.
Imagine that Amazing Spider-Man fan, Amazing Spider-Man 3 fan, Spider-Man 4 fan, dying before
The day
the
before
leak,
the movie.
before No Way Home was even announced.
Dude,
Imagine being that guy.
feel sorry for him. Man.
That honestly makes me sad thinking about it. There was a guy out there like that.
There's so much great media and entertainment has already come out, and we're freaking living it, man. I love it. And this movie is part of that that culture, you know, that renaissance of movies that stand the test of time. From, like I said, Star Wars, Jurassic Park is one of them. Kill Bill obviously is one of them. Movies like Halloween, movies like Nightmare on Elm Street,
all these horror
Friday the
franchises.
13th. A lot of the horror franchises from late 80s, some from the 70s, some from mid 90s.
The 80s was the prime of it
Dude,
too.
80s prime.
Evil
80s.
Dead, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Thing, Star Wars.
Perfect.
Like, it's crazy.
I love it, man.
And Tarantino said the 80s was one of the worst decades for film.
I don't think so. I really don't.
Not for
think so.
horror films, I think.
No, not for. I don't think so. For
I would
action-
say
I'd say for action adventure movies, probably.
sci-fi. Well, I would say
Well, a lot of good sci-fi movies.
that's what I'm
from the
saying.
80s.
Those ones were good, but I think cinema itself, like the movies, like directors making original content and stuff like that, it was like politically correct.
Oh, that's
during
when
that time.
that's when they started ramping up their views on what they believe in, putting it into their artwork. And obviously, it's their art. They can do whatever the hell they want with it.
And it's kind of like that
If I made
today too.
If I made a movie, I'm putting what I believe
Yeah.
into that movie, into that thing, because it's coming from me. Who's to tell somebody, hey, don't do this because I don't like it? It's a free country, man. Who cares?
Avia Rad.
This is America. This is America, man. I bleed red, white, and blue. But man, 80s horror is just untouched. It's
Yeah.
elite
Prime.
on a whole another level. Nothing can stop it. I don't think in 100 years anyone's gonna make a sequence of different styled movies as they did late 80s, early 80s, 90s, and late 70s, stuff like that. No one's ever gonna do it.
No.
I don't think the greatest writers on Earth right now can do it. Probably, but they're not gonna try it.
No.
There's not as much writing on horror movies these days as there used to be.
It's the same old,
It's the same old, man.
cliches.
It's either a remake or a rewrite of an original, or it's something based on original with whole new characters.
It's a real head scratcher when they're rated PG-13 too, because you already know.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, that too. It's a horror movie, but like also nowadays with the PG-13 ratings, like they just make them so cliche. Like
They really do.
I went to go see The Boogeyman.
Because you can't push it to a whole nother level.
No,
Just rewatch.
you can't pass the boundaries like they were in the 80s.
Rewatch like, was it World War Z with Brad Pitt?
Yeah, not even like
They push it, but they're not pushing it to like the extent of the books. In
yeah.
the books, it's chaotic, it's crazy. Jurassic Park, for instance, was this. I don't know if you read the books, but it is graphic.
Oh no, I haven't.
It's freaking, it's nuts. But they can't do it. They can't do it in the form of media, live video, stuff like that. You can't do it because there's these ratings that people put on, and they're halting your vision. Is what I'm trying to say.
I also think another thing these days that affects movies and movies at the box office too is like other people's opinions on them. Other people get so they listen to what others are saying about a film, and then they don't go see it because they base their opinions off of others. Go see the film. Just
Go see it yourself.
Form your own opinion on it, and if you don't like it, then yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. But to listen to someone else,
like we've seen The Thing, obviously, we're talking about it. We have our own opinions on it, and it just so happens that we both love the movie.
yeah,
But I'm sure there's somebody out there, probably in the comments, someone's not going to like the movie, or they're going to think it's overrated to a certain extent. But
I mean that's okay. It's their opinion, but like yeah.
People love the prequels. People hate the prequels because it ruined Star Wars. Or in other people's cases, it enhanced the story of Star Wars. But either way, people have their own opinions. I love it. I love this movie. I love what movies can be and have been. I love what music can be and have been. I rate this movie a 5. And I can't wait for the next one that we're going to review. The next one I haven't seen. And
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass is...
Kick-Ass. I can't wait to review Kick-Ass. You're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it.
I've seen the second one. But
yeah, the first one's so different from the second one.
is it really?
Yeah, it's really
Don't spoil it.
It's really good.
So that's it. That's the end of our video. Obviously, I think this movie's freaking fantastic. It's great. And if you guys have any other movies you're interested in, something that
Leave them down in the comments.
something that we can argue about for once, because
Right.
I'm so tired of being so happy about a movie.
Cheerleading about movies, but I mean, yeah, we'll get there.
So if you have any movies you'd like to see us review, leave them in the comments. Obviously, like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Dude, we need that stuff. Or we're fueled
Yeah,
by likes.
15.
to be appreciated.
15 alone made my day.
Honestly, dude, we're at 1,000 views in total.
And only off of 3 videos.
On 3 videos.
That's crazy.
Dude, I'm excited. I'm excited for what the next 8 videos are gonna be. We thought pretty hard when we first started the channel that we're gonna do these movies that we love, and obviously after that,
And also,
it's gonna be crazy.
also while dropping videos of the newer movies coming out.
Oh yeah.
And
We're gonna try different videos on more public videos outside of the little studio we got here. We're gonna questionnaires, more group videos with more people, especially for that Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Dude, can't wait for Spider-Man. It's gonna be
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. We're good, man. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.